In today's episode, you have me all to yourselves. I'm going to record something today that was inspired by a client transformation day I did. We went through and was helping this leader with lots of tips and ways to help them kind of move forward. And something they said really hit with me in terms of it was so nice for them to hear just small little tips and wins that they can action immediately. And I know I've done lots of episodes where we've heard of people being fired or set up big companies when they're in debt and all these big failures that people have gone through that's elevated their success. But actually what this client shared with me is sometimes it's those smaller wins, those smaller things that we can do to prevent maybe some of these things going wrong and help them in their leadership. So I'm going to share with you 7 very, very simple, practical tips that you can implement literally the minute after you've watched this episode. So the first one I'm going to talk about is personal responsibility. The minute I stopped looking for other things to blame, changed my life. The minute something wasn't working in the team or something wasn't working on a project, and the first question that I asked myself is, where is my responsibility in this? It's quite confronting because you really need to go inside, but it's a really quick question to ask yourself is to go, before I get annoyed with something or get frustrated that something isn't happening the way I want to, where's my responsibility? What of my actions caused this outcome? What decisions have I made? What maybe trust haven't I given? What empowerment have I not, helped my team to have? And to recognize that we've got to this place from some choices that I've also had an impact in as well. So the very quick thing you can do is just say to yourself, first as a leader, I am personally responsible and what was my part in this outcome? So a very, very quick thing to help you reflect and think about the choices you make going forward. It literally is a game changer. The next one is being able to pause. The power of the pause is everything. Now, you may not feel like you're pausing because you've still got all the noise going on in your head, like maybe some defenses are coming up and everything inside you is going, no, say this, say that, how dare they have spoken this? And everything just wants to go blur and blurt out. So inside it feels you're not pausing because your emotions are going crazy and the voices are going crazy. But the people you around you are just seeing you take a moment, take a beat to think about how your response. This also comes back into personal responsibility, because if you think about the word responsibility, it is the ability to respond. And the only way you can set yourself up well to do that is to take a beat, to take a pause and breathe. So think about pausing before you respond to something, because it gives you that moment to manage your emotion, calm any defense down, and articulate it in a way that's going to really help the people around you, versus blurting it out and then needing to apologize later or justify where that came from. Even if you literally had to put your hand over your mouth just to stop you, learn to not have to react straight away. The next one, again, is incredibly powerful but simple, is 3 questions you can ask yourself. So if you're in a situation and you're not happy with this situation, it's not going how you thought it would go, you can ask yourself 3 simple questions. What is in my control to change this, and do I want to? Okay, so first of all, the control question. The next one is, what can I accept the way this is? So say, for example, I've got something going on in my team and they're not quite delivering it how I would like them to. But for me to take it back is not going to work because, I've now moved on to doing something else and it's not right for me to do that work anymore. So can I accept what they can deliver, knowing that this is their best? Can I accept this situation? And acceptance is a skill in itself, to let go and to know that this is okay. Maybe my perfectionist standards or the expectations are unrealistic and I can accept that this is okay. Or can I accept the situation of, working on a project where I'm not going to get access to the people that I really need? Can I accept that is okay? Or can I change it to say, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to do this project if I can't speak to these people, and I remove myself from it. So think about looking at, can you accept the situation? Because it's probably taking a lot of energy out of you that you don't need to be losing, and move on. And then if you can't accept it, I've hinted it to already, the last question is, do I need to remove myself from this situation? So for example, if I'm working with a client and they've told me that this is how the project needs to go, there's nothing in my control that can change that. I've asked myself, can I accept it to be this way? And if I can't, I then choose to then not work with that client, to say, well, look, I won't be able to deliver on what I want to, so I'm going to need to remove myself, and you'll need to find someone else who's maybe happy to work this way. So 3 very simple questions. Is this in my control to change? Can I accept it? Or do I need to remove myself? And you save yourself so much energy spinning and swirling and getting yourself frustrated or angry by just being able to answer those 3 questions. The next one, I work a lot of people and they get stuck in their comfort zone. And they say to me, I've tried to move out of it, but I got a really bad reaction, so I just don't want to do that again. The key question to ask yourself here is, what can I learn from this? Versus going, actually, I'm just not going to do that again because that was hard and I don't think I can handle it and it made me feel uncomfortable. It's just, what can I learn from this? That question will immediately put you into a growth mindset. And if you haven't read the book yet, Mindset by Carol Dweck, it's the first book I get all my clients to read, because being able to move yourself from a fixed to a growth mindset is everything in becoming a great leader. So the one simple question you ask is, what can I learn from this? So you get your mindset from avoidance into going, I'm going to have another go and see if this new approach gets me where I need to be. The next one is, we've got mind reading. So how many of you catch yourself going, they're going to do this, they're going to think that, they're going to blame someone else, they're going to lose all their confidence if I tell them this feedback? What we're doing, all those thoughts that are going on in your head, you are mind reading that person. You don't know if that is actually what's going on. It's called a thought trap. We have about 16 thought traps, and the number one is mind reading. So the very quick skill to adapt is just catch when you notice you're doing it. When you realize you're in your head and you're mind reading something that you don't know is true. And all you can do there really is clarify. Ask someone, I just want to check, is this what you're thinking? I'm worried that you might be thinking this. And most of the time you do, you'll realize it isn't what they're thinking, and we've made it about ourselves. My brother actually shared with me this morning, he's got a situation, someone he's working with, and he caught a look. This person did a look, and he was then worried, did that look mean something about him? So he started to mind read, did I do this? Did I do this? And this look was nothing to do with him. But as humans, we tend to make everything about ourselves, and this can then trigger the mind reading. Why this one is so important as well is a lot of leaders find it difficult to give people difficult feedback. And we do all this mind reading that helps us to not do it, because obviously our brain's trying to keep us safe. But if you're mind reading someone, which then stops you giving the feedback because you're worried about hurting them or their response, you've taken away the credit of them being able to handle this conversation. So you're taking away the credit of this person being able to learn and grow from this feedback, because you're worried and you're mind reading with no evidence that that is how they'll respond. So very quick one to stop all of that happening is catch when you're mind reading and go and seek out the evidence. Is what you're thinking true? Then we move on to one of the most powerful statements. Your calendar never lies. It doesn't. I have so many leaders like, I haven't got time, I'm too busy, I can't do this. Remember, you do actually have full control over your calendar. And this comes back to that personal responsibility. If you're putting things in, that is part of your choice that has gone in there. You can't blame anybody else. You've allowed it to happen. And what's really important is your calendar also shows you what you value. So if I'm hearing leaders say to me, I value my team's well-being, I value making sure they're clear on their expectations, I value giving them feedback, yet I look at your calendar and there's not one slot that you've got any time with your team in that week, it's not really what you value. You're probably valuing, going after the next client, the growth, the new business. Nothing wrong with that, but it is showing you what you actually value versus maybe what you're saying. And you want to make sure as a leader that your words and your actions are aligned so people can trust you. And the trap that people get caught up with this as well is people pleasing, fear of missing out, feeling like you still need to be involved in everything as a leader when you don't. When I work with leaders, very quickly, we look at their calendar, we can clear 20% up in a week pretty quickly when they suddenly realize, do you know what? I don't need to be involved in that anymore. I'm just going to check everyone's okay. Trust they're okay. And keep remembering that every time you say yes, there is a no in that yes. There is something you're not doing that could be more impactful to the business, have the results that are required for you only in your position can do, that's not being done because you've said yes to being stuck in the weeds a bit too much, yes to being in a project that the team can cope without you. Really think about your leadership position and where your time needs to be. So the quick tip in this is just look at your diary. It's telling you the truth of what you value. And remember, every time you say yes, there is a no. So use the first one I said about personal responsibility to get your calendar to work for you and versus your calendar controlling you. And the last one I want to do, please always remember that nobody can see the world the way you do. The way you communicate needs to be from a place of understanding the people you're talking to. If you only talk to people the way you like to be communicated, you're only meeting your own needs. Everybody is different. It's like our DNA, our fingerprints. We can't see the world the same. So if you're also getting frustrated with someone because they're just not getting what you're saying, then again, this is why this one was number one, the personal responsibility to change your approach. So personal responsibility to think about how to communicate it differently so this person can understand versus getting annoyed with the person in front of you. So these are just some really easy things to think about and to put into practice, which is the personal responsibility you can take as a leader and the amount of energy you will save from doing that. Remembering to pause. You are responsible for your response and your response will give you the outcome. So think about the outcome that you want to achieve because your response will lead you there. The 3 questions if you're in a situation you're not happy with. Is there anything in your control that you can change it? Can you accept it? So you just let go of any angst around it, or do you need to remove yourself? Remember to ask, what can I learn from this versus avoiding doing it again? Change your approach, have another go. Catch when you're mind reading. Remember your calendar doesn't lie and think about your personal responsibility with that. And nobody can see the world the way you do. These are just my initial tips that can really transform your leadership. I'd love to know in the comments what's landed with you, what ones you've put into practice. And I really want to start building a community of sharing ideas, sharing tips. Leadership isn't an easy role. And the more we come together to support each other, the better we can then help the people we lead. So I'd love to also hear from you in the comments. What tips do you do? What are small things, small quick wins that have helped you change the way you think, lead in your leadership, work with your team? Let's really get a bank of those tips in one place so leaders have access to them. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Take care. If you've been loving our Courageous Leaders podcast, please can I ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps keep the quality content coming and reach listeners like you that we can then really help. We fund this podcast ourselves, so to have your support means that we can keep delivering week on week. Thank you.